And thank you again for being here tonight. I hope what we're teaching you is informative. I hope that you're getting something out of this that will help you in your lives. Because, you know, anything that we do, even one thing that moves us closer to a higher vibration, will shift our consciousness. And so we're doing something each week, and I want you to not stop doing it. I want you to continue doing it so that you continue getting your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions all more positive to get you closer to becoming an ascended being. Okay, today is on faith and belief. Now, it's really interesting. As I pondered and prayed about this, faith and belief is something that came easily to me because I always believed and I always had faith that God was in my life. Now, don't get me wrong, there were times when I was like, okay, where are you, God? Why aren't you getting me out of here? Why aren't you helping me with this? And you know what? We just have to persist. It's like when I went to Fairfield, Iowa, and everybody was like getting sicker again after I had detoxed them, gotten rid of their Parkinson's, their nerve disorders, their liver problems because of all the toxic waste. And all of a sudden they started getting sick again. And it was because they were putting 20 to 30 times the amount of pesticides, well, herbicides on the food. It was getting in the water system and making them sick again. And literally, it took me 6 months to get an answer. And I was pretty frustrated, but I kept asking. I kept the faith. I believed I was going to get an answer. And finally, after 6 months, I got the answer. And it came very miraculously. You know, St. Germain appeared to me there in Reno, Nevada, and gave me the answer. So one of the things I want to tell you about faith and belief is you can't just believe for a day. You have to believe every minute of every day and subsequent days, and persist. So I would like to read one question that I got. I have been using a meditation practice calling in etheric stargate to help raise my frequency to the 12th dimension and then slide into the quantum field energy. Now, they weren't sure really what that represented, but she also asked, what is the void and how does the void differ from the quantum field of energy or the energy of the unity consciousness, the unified field? You know, there's all kinds of different names. And what it is, the unified field wasn't created until after God went into the void and created the universe. And when he created the universe, or she, or it, the whole universe was filled with this unified field of consciousness. And it is a conscious field. And it responds to our thoughts. Now, the void is different in that we are creating in that void like God did when he created the universe, but we are creating a unified field coming from our creation, which is a little different than God's creation because we being humans, we're a little bit imperfect, and when we go in that unified field, we have to let go of all our negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative feelings. We have to forgive everybody. And that's why I keep teaching Ho'oponopono, because It's so important we get in that love consciousness, forgive everybody, feel sorrow and ask for forgiveness, and be in gratitude. Because when we go into that void, we want to have a purity that will create a purified united density or unified field. And in that unified field that we create, we will create a new reality for ourselves. And this will disperse out into God's unified field and create what we desire. So in answer to that question, the unified field is different than the void, because the unified field has energy in it. The void has no time, no space, no body, nothing. There's literally nothing there. And so when we go there, we are an intent and a emotion and a creator, and we will create our own unified field and desires and world. And let me tell you, you can be in your own world, but we want it in alignment with God's love, with higher vibrations, higher emotions, because we don't want to create another world like we have currently here on Earth, where we've got so many humans creating so much chaos, so much disharmony, robbing and stealing and killing people and all this stuff that is so negative. We want to create a beautiful, happy, joyful world with lots of gratitude, light, and love. So I hope that answers the question. Now, I want to go on to the slides before we get too much further. Tonight we're going to talk about faith and belief, and I will learn about, and I have a typo, and express more faith and focus on believing God is in charge. Now, the God within us is a good energy. The only time we dissipate that good energy is when we choose to go outside of what God has manifest for us. This earth is actually very perfect, and the only reason bad things happen on the planet, like hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, destruction, is because of our discordant thoughts. And the earth literally has to clear that energy out. And so it's so important that we have faith, we have higher emotions, we have higher thought forms, and our actions are congruent with our thoughts and higher emotions. And that way we actually create perfection and light and love. And that's what we're desiring to do. Okay, I'm going to put the, again, we've got the map of consciousness up, and it is literally showing us that we need to vibrate in the highest vibration. And so as we go through these slides, I want you to know that we are trying to get above 700, which is in the higher consciousness of love consciousness. And in those higher vibrations, we have love, we have reverence, revelation. In other words, the process, we actually have received revelations, and we receive transfiguration, we receive illumination and pure consciousness. We get in to the same dimension and energy as God. And so, because God is love and enlightenment, peace, all being, perfect, complete, one, loving, benign, and joyous. And so those, the map of consciousness, I love this. And if everybody hasn't got one, email me and we will send you another one if you haven't got it. So just know that the law of faith and belief, faith is derived from Latin fides, and Old French fied is its confidence or trust in a person, thing, or concept. And so we have this confidence that comes with the faith and the belief. And we believe things are good and working towards our higher good. So we have to have a confidence that God is going to help us make our lives better, more complete, happier, more joyous, all of these things. And we're trusting in God. And Jesus called God the Father, at least his father of his life was a being in higher consciousness. And Jesus always said, I am in the Father is in me, I and the Father are one. Well, when I had my experience with seeing the face of God a week ago, I knew when I saw that, it instructed me to say, I am that I am. I am God. God is me. I am that I am. So we need to get to that point where we ignite these thoughts and beliefs, and our faith is so confident that we're going to get what we desire that it comes. Now, the law of faith and belief states that whatever we focus on, think about, read about, talk about with belief, even though we cannot see it, you're going to attract more and become that consciousness. Now, it's very similar to the law of attraction. Now, you know, it's interesting because there's people out there complaining about Abraham and Abraham Hicks, you know, because they feel like Abraham's always talking about the law of attraction, and the only thing that people are attracting is they want to attract wealth or good relationships, this, that, and the other thing. But they don't realize it's the same law of faith and belief, except that we develop more confidence when we follow the law of faith and belief, and we develop the ability to create. And so it's very important. What you believe inside of you will manifest outside of you and create that reality. So the belief will manifest it and create it. What you believe and think about, you create. What you believe, you can attract. What you imagine, you can become. And emotions are an outward expression of the body. The mind is the thoughts, the body is the emotion and magnetism. And we want to get those together. So we have to stay in higher vibration emotions with those thoughts. We can't be thinking bad thoughts about us and create something good. So it's important that we realize we need to get our positive emotions, positive thoughts and positive actions together. Now, the emotions are an outward expression of the body, and we need to heal the body. We should change and heal our emotions. And let me tell you, Ho'oponopono is one of the best ways of doing that. Expressing love for whoever, even the self, and then saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I forgive myself, and I am very grateful to be alive and at a time when we are going to go through the Ascension. Now, the Ascension is the culmination of our thoughts, our emotions, and our creating. So that's why it's so important we have faith and belief. Now, the law of faith and belief leads to evolution. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about using our faith and belief with action to move us, the planet, and everybody on the planet into the fifth dimension or density with the earth and other fifth dimensional locations. Vibrational with love, consciousness, peace, and abundance. Now, if we were living on a world in the third dimension where everybody put their faith and belief on these things, imagine how wonderful this planet would be when we move into these beliefs. And that's exactly what will happen, is we'll dissipate the negative discord, we'll get rid of it by all of us focusing our attention on the higher thoughts, higher emotions, and higher creations. Okay, so the law of faith and belief. When we change the way we think about things, the things around us change. I know I said this last week, but that is so true because we need to think in higher thoughts, higher emotions, higher actions. We go to the void, the place where God created the universe, with faith and belief, and there we put our focus, our manifesting, or our thoughts and attention, and visualize what we truly desire. We are creating our reality. We are aligning with the divine. Now, currently what I do in the void is I go there, and one of my desires is to totally heal my body. And so I visualize my body being able to run and jump and be strong enough to hike the mountains. And the mountain I look at is Kilimanjaro. Now, why did I think of Kilimanjaro? Well, thank you, Joanne Lombardi. She told me how she had hiked Kilimanjaro and made it to the top. And she's a little bit older than me, but she did it, and that was her desire. And guess what? I love that. And so I'm going to the void and visualizing me being healthy enough that I can hike Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is over 19,000 feet. And, you know, you can walk clear to the top. You don't have to do any rock climbing or anything really difficult, but it is very high. And when I went to Peru in the high Andes, I was one of the few people who did not get altitude sickness. But a lot of things have changed in the last 8 years since I hiked up in the high Andes. And so I need to get my body in healthy enough alignment, and in that void I'm going to create and shift my consciousness enough that it shifts my matter in my body in alignment with what I'm desiring. Okay. So what we believe and manifest inside of us will manifest outside of us. Belief is the brain in action with focus. And we add the elevated emotions, and it becomes what we are meant